Yes, Councillor. That will be all. I trust you will see it done. Send the order to pull excess resources from the Segmentum Solar and distribute them amongst the Tyranid front. I know the High Lords will not be pleased. That will be my burden to bear. Yours is to see the instruction done. Those forces are dealing with opposition the size of which has not been seen since the Orcs, and they're doing so on scraps. If it displeases the Lords to have their excesses stripped from them, then remind them of the alternative, that they are deprived of the air they breathe, the water they drink, and the food they gorge themselves on when our forces are overrun. That shall be all. I have much paperwork to comb through. Hypothetical. None of these papers match. The system is completely non-functional. Practical. I must resist the urge to burn it to the ground and start anew. I know you are there, rogue trader. You are not as sneaky as you seem to think. Technically, this is heresy, you know. Barging into the quarters of the imperial regent uninvited and sitting in on confidential meetings. I'd file the paperwork for you to face judgment, but I think you might expire from natural causes long before it got processed. Yes, trader. I jest. Must everyone always assume I am serious all the time? I am capable of mirth. I suppose such a thing is not included in Tales of the Avenging Daughter. Oh, I'm sifting through the newest batch of paperwork that's been thrown my way. I requested a portion of each communication and log that passes through the administorum and magistratum is sent to me. It's the best way for me to get an accurate impression of how things are running, rather than the botched attempt at falsifying functionality used to placate me. The whole system is a mess. In this one pile, there's documents from 3, 2,000, even 10,000 years ago, that have just been passed around in a circle, lost and refound again, only to be tucked away to be lost once more. Not to mention they cannot even agree on a calendar system. See this? These 2 pages were produced today. You can tell by the state of the vellum. You see? There's no yellowing around the edges. These are fresh. But look, the dates written upon them are completely different. How can we even begin organizing when we cannot even accurately file things? Not to mention that whenever I raise the matter, I am gazed upon as though I suggested pulling the plug on the Golden Throne. A look with which I am well acquainted. Sleep? Who knows? I cannot remember. A galaxy falling apart, and it is up to me not only to tie what remains together, but to oversee the reconnection of Imperium's Nihilus and Sanctus. Not to mention the new threats that have reared their heads since I last drew breath. Every day, a new crisis. A new apocalypse somewhere that needs to be extinguished. I'm so tired. And yet duty continues to call me on and ever on. How did you make it in here, trader? Well, I was aware of your presence, but not of you entering the room. So I'm assuming you entered before I did. I'm not entirely sure that's what Father intended when he drew up the warrant of trade. Although most people around here are so scared of ending up on the wrong side of the law, I'm sure they'd let you get away with anything just by flashing that warrant. Like an inquisitorial badge. Of course, I'm sure you'd never test the boundaries of that. Absolutely, you would never do something like that. You're the head of a society of your own, in a sense, are you not? The ship of a rogue trader is crewed by a population that rivals some cities. How do you enforce some level of order during crises? I see. Perhaps I should be speaking to your seneschal then, wherever they are. Although, knowing the Imperium, perhaps it is best I do not learn what strategies they use. I'd rather keep the brutality to a minimum. Fear may work to hold obedience, but the Imperium is cracking. Hope may be the only thing holding it together. The hope of a better tomorrow, of seeing the Emperor's light. Oh, you scoff. Do I detect a hint of skepticism? Careful now, you're treading in dangerous territory. This is why I enjoy your company. Lucid ears, untainted by fanaticism, are a rare find indeed, let alone attached to a brave enough tongue to speak without fear. I'd suggest it was our talks that disillusioned you. But I have spent far too many hours communing with the ecclesiarchy to overestimate my ability to overcome the stubbornness of the faithful. The irony that they worship the man who attempted to purge religion from the galaxy as a god himself, in a doctrine based upon the writings of the first of his daughters to fall. Yes, I said the first. Well, aside from a matter I am forbidden to speak of, it was not Horus who fell to chaos first, but rather Lorgar, who, after being scorned by our father, found purchase worshipping another who would appreciate it. That book, the one by my bedside, the Laetitio Divinitatis. Yes, well noticed, it is the central text of the imperial cult. But more so than that, it was written by Lorgar before her fall. Before Monarchia. Throne, no. I have not found myself convinced by their prattle. But at the time, I refused to read it, on principle, and to demonstrate my disapproval to my sister. I find myself feeling somewhat responsible, in a way, for the way things turned out. It was my legion that Father used to burn Monarchia to the ground, to publicly humiliate her and her children. The catalyst of her corruption, much as Russ was to Magna. Perhaps if I had acted differently, had lended an ear or attempted to understand my sister, we would not be in the position we find ourselves in. So, I have decided to read it, to try to understand her, if nothing else. I believe she is out there, somewhere, as Magna and Mortaria are. Perhaps there is some hope for her, as my father claimed there was to Mortaria when she took hold of me, that someday they can make their way back, break their chains, and someday we may be sisters once more. Perhaps that is foolish of me. I told you already. I cannot sleep for the foreseeable future. There is too much required of me. Throne, you sound like my mother. Yes, I am smiling. They are fond memories. Sometimes I think I am the only one of my sisters who can make that claim. I was raised with as much normalcy as someone like me could be provided. A father, a mother, a childhood of sorts. My father was a good man, one of the consuls of Macragge, taught me strategy, diplomacy, adopted me and raised me as his own. And my mother, Tarasha. I think you would have liked her. You are both strong characters. Oh yes. When I left to join my other father on his crusade, my mother accompanied me, and she had opinions. Opinions she did not let go unexpressed. I saw that woman scolding full-sized Astartes. Not an ounce of fear, just motherly instinct. The same instinct as when I misbehaved or fell short of expectations in my youth. I saw them shuffle off, heads hung in shame, like chided children. These 8-foot, genetically modified super soldiers, laid low by a little old lady. I miss her, sometimes. Sometimes, when I'm really struggling to pass judgment, I think about what they would have advised I did. They tend to give good advice. Or at least, my mental simulations of them do. There's something I want to do. Could you help me? I can do it myself, but the extra pair of hands would make it a lot easier. I want to remove my armour for a while. Yes, I know what guidance I was given, but I need to know I can stand without it, lest it becomes a crutch. I can leave it for a time. Each time I do, I can last a little longer. Like strengthening a muscle. It's important I can be seen without it. All right. You may want to stand on the bed. Our heights are a little... You don't need to pout at me. I am merely pointing out a logistical... Fine. I shall be quiet. I see. So you do listen to me. All right. First, remove the back plating. I can do the front. I just don't have my full range of motion in this. That's it. Just press to disengage the maglocks, and then pull it towards you. I can feel the air on my skin. It's always such a pleasant sensation, like the first drop of water on a parched tongue. Okay, now the lower back. It should be much the same. Just set it aside on the bed. I can't feel it digging into my skin anymore. I suppose you must have done it. All right. I can take it from here. Thank you. Honestly. Most days I end up looking quite the fool trying to remove it. I have half a mind to ask Cawl to produce me a device to remove it, like the one she did to apply it. but the less time I spend with her, the better. She is useful, but I do not trust her or suffer her presence gladly. She was requesting that I allow her to use forbidden gene seed for her experiments, and while she insists the contrary, I do not trust that the proxy she has me speak to in her stead is not an abominable intelligence. But she is a necessity. Without her, the Primaris project would not be possible, and I would not be walking today. Well, her and the Xenos who saw it beneficial that I return. While I trust them more than the other Xenos I have had the opportunity to converse with, that does not say much, hence why I do not wish to be dependent on a crutch of their making, or at least assistance. You know you may call me by my name. You need not use titles for me. I miss socializing with an equal. Robu. Now you overstep, as is often your way. Somehow, I doubt the sincerity of your apology, or that it will not happen again. Yes, it feels nice to be out of the armor. I shall put it back on in a while, but for now, I want to let my skin breathe. You blush? I did not think your confidence and audacity had limits, and yet seeing me in my natural state has you speechless. I shall bear that in mind. Fine, I shall wear a robe. You may avert your eyes if you feel such a need, although I truly do not mind. You may look, trader. It feels nice to wear casual clothing after so long adorned in warplate. When wearing my armor, blades and ammunition are negligible dangers in the face of the gargantuan task of fine motor control. I made a joke about such to Sicarius, and I received much the same shocked expression at my capacity for humor that I am becoming painfully familiar with. I fear the history books may have conflated mine and Dawn's character. Next I shall find out they believe it was her who penned the Codex Astartes. I think of her, sometimes. I understand how she must have felt, the last one standing. After I was placed in stasis and the rest of my sisters disappeared, only she was left for a long time, until she too vanished. Somewhere out there, one of them must still live. I cannot be the only one. Each of them is far too stubborn to die, and each of them has less of a reason to be than I. It cannot just be me. Watching as it all sinks, slowly, bailing out the water as an endless tide rushes in to pull it underneath. What are you doing? No, I'm fine. I just have not felt the touch of another in a long time. At least, not besides through inches of ceramite. It's not bad. It's just an unfamiliar sensation. Yes, you may continue. I'm not sure if it's bravery or foolishness that drives your irreverence and casual treatment of me, but I appreciate it all the same. I cannot stand being treated as some messianic figure, having to play along to get anything done. It is a loathsome tool, but a tool I must use all the same. There are times I wish I could accompany you on your voyages from place to place with reckless abandon. I would have done such a thing in my youth, I think. Perhaps someday I shall, when there isn't such a weight on my shoulders. I wanted them to be statesmen. My children, I mean. I had hope that someday they would set aside their bolters when the day came they were no longer needed. That they would someday play a role besides that of the soldier. That day feels so far away now. The same day I could take more than a few scant hours to my own purposes. Although, I am happy to spend what little time I have for now on you. It is a worthwhile investment. What is it? You look concerned. Ah, I see. The wound has started to open. Mortality catching up with me once more. I must return to my walking tomb. Thank you for being so tender with me. Fortunately, the process of putting it back on is easier than taking it off. You look tired. While I return to my war plate, why don't you pull something from my library, and I shall read it to you. In my cage. Did you pick something? If you decided to be mischievous and pick the codex, I will hit you with it. If I knew my own words would be quoted back to me so frequently, I would have burned the damn manuscript. I see. You have a good eye. The works of Inquisitor Vale were some of the first I read upon my reawakening. They are a certain favorite of mine, less drowned in piety than other contemporary texts. They are the memoirs of one Commissar Kane, edited by Miss Vale, with the occasional comments of her own. They are rather amusing. I would have liked to have met him, though his inferiority complex blinded him to his own good qualities. He was everything a man of his position should aspire to. Funny, isn't it, that the greatest of us become so convinced they are the dregs? You may settle into my bed. I am surprised you are waiting for permission. How unlike you. I know. However, you are giving me rest. You have pulled me from my work, and loath though I am to encourage this behavior, it has been good for me. Now please, rest. Like any newly commissioned young commissar, I faced my first assignment with an eagerness mixed with trepidation. I was, after all, the visible embodiment of the will of the Emperor himself, and I could scarce suppress the tiny voice, which bade me wonder if, when tested, I would truly prove worthy of the trust bestowed upon me. When the test came at last, in the blood and glory of the battlefield, I had my answer, and my life was changed forever. If there is a single piece of truth amongst all the pious humbug and retrospective arse-covering that passes for my autobiography, It's the last 4 words of that paragraph. When I look back over the past 100 years of cowardice, truth-bending, bowel-loosening terror, and sheer dumb luck that somehow propelled me to the dizzy heights of hero of the Imperium, I can truthfully point to that grubby little skirmish on a forgotten mining world as the incident that made me who I am. I'd been a fully fledged commissar for almost 8 weeks when I arrived on Desolatia 4, 7 of them spent travelling in the warp, and I could tell right away that my new unit wasn't happy to receive me. There was a single salamander waiting at the edge of the landing field as I stepped off the shuttle. Its sand-scoured desert camo, bearing the markings of the Valhallan 12th Field Artillery, but there was no sign of the senior officers that protocol demanded should meet a newly arrived commissar. Just a single, bored-looking trooper, stripped down to the bare minimum of what might pass for a uniform, making the best of what little shade the parked vehicle offered. He glanced up from his slate of artistic engravings as I appeared, and shambled in my general direction, his boots kicking up little puffs of the baking yellow dust. "Carry your bag, sir?" He didn't even attempt to salute. "That's fine," I said hastily. "It's not heavy." His body odor preceded him, like a personal force bubble. The briefing slate I'd glanced at before making the joyous discovery that the transport ship was stuffed full of crewmen, still under the fond illusion that games of chance had something to do with luck, had mentioned that the Valhallans were from an ice world, so it was of no surprise to me that